Thank you, Nurit. Hello. Right now I'm speaking to you from Israel, where my children have been sleeping in a bomb shelter for the last 2 nights. As rockets rain overhead, excuses are made to justify terror. Western politicians are acting as the propaganda arm of the Hamas terror group, spreading lies to equivocate terror with the Israeli response to contain terror. At the heart of these lies is the premise that the Jewish presence in our homeland is illegal. Make no mistake, this recent escalation of violence is not about some Byzantine property dispute in Jerusalem or even the so-called West Bank. This is about the right of the Jewish people to simply be in our homeland and to live and pray in our sacred city of Jerusalem. If Jews can't live, pray, work, and raise our families in peace in Israel, then our human rights are threatened everywhere. Indeed, Jews are being attacked everywhere. Jews are being attacked in Tel Aviv. Jews are being attacked in Pittsburgh. Jews are being attacked in Brooklyn. And Jews are being attacked in Paris. The same Jew hatred that fuels these rockets fueled the murder of Sarah Halimi. The same excuses politicians are making for the rocket attacks are the excuses the French court made for Halimi's murder. That the mere existence of a Jewish person living her life peacefully in Paris, a Jewish community living their life peacefully in Israel, is a trigger for violence. This is a dangerous and false narrative. Jew hatred, the oldest form of prejudice, is why Sarah Halimi was tortured and murdered in her apartment. Jew hatred is why her killer got away for smoking weed. The Jewish people are fed up with this violence, and we are fed up with the excuses for Jew hatred. The Jewish presence in Israel is not a provocation. Sarah Halimi did not provoke her murderer because she had a mezuzah on her wall. She was murdered for being a Jew. What is inspiring to see, however, is that the worldwide Jewish community is united in their demand for justice for Sarah Halimi. Justice means a fair trial for Halimi's killer and consequences for the recklessly negligent police chief who gave the stand down order, which resulted in French police standing outside Halimi's door, refusing to enter as they heard the screams inside. The grassroots mobilization and protests we are witnessing take place across the world is significant. And the End Jew Hatred movement, together with over a dozen of our partners, is proud to be a leading organizer of these protests. At justiceforsarahhalimi.com, you will find information on protests happening all over the world and get the support that you need to organize your own. The time is now to gather in the streets, to make your voice heard, to show the world that there will be consequences for murderous Jew hatred. We are not just protesting and then going home. We will protest continually without tiring. The time is now for Jewish unity and Jewish strength. Yet some are attempting to divide us. They want to divide the Jewish people on partisan lines. For this, they appropriate Holocaust terminology for partisan gain, accusing this or that politician of being a Nazi or a Hitler, describing this or that policy or event as a Kristallnacht or equivalent to a concentration camp. They attempt to divide us by pitting secular and Reform Jew against conservative and Orthodox Jews. There is only one Jewish people. They attempt to divide us based on our politics and who we should or should not vote for. They attempt to divide us by excluding Jewish groups who strongly call out Jew hatred in the so-called woke crowd. Unfortunately, some Jewish groups are guilty of this attempted division as well. They do this because they are scared of not fitting in, scared of provoking more anti-Semitism if they don't accept the prevailing narrative, a narrative that marginalizes our people, a narrative that promotes and celebrates minority rights, except for the right of the Jewish people as a minority community to equal protection under the law. But if history teaches us anything, it's that a strong, united Jewish community is what defeats the hate, not appeasement, not division, not partisan politics. We must resist all attempts to divide the Jewish community, both from within and from without. We must resist all attempts to categorize the Jewish presence in Judea, the Jewish presence in Paris, as a provocation. Up until now, the Jewish community has been organized from the top down, and this has served us well. But the 21st century climate requires the type of bottom-up mobilization that we are now seeing with Sarah Halimi protests everywhere. Bottom-up mobilization requires everyone to take upon themselves the responsibility to get up, stand up, get out on the street, post on social media, film videos of yourself, tag influencers, create memes, and do everything possible to make our voices heard. You do not need anyone's permission to get out on the street. We will no longer ascribe to the still be quiet and keep your head down mentality. We must demand that leadership express public support for an end to Jew hatred in all of its forms, especially those organizations and leaders that express public support for the End Asian Hatred movement or the Black Lives Matter movement. We must demand corporations and even small businesses express the same support for our movement to end Jew hatred as they do for other minority rights movements. You can do this by showing up at your local coffee shop and asking them to display a poster of Sarah Halimi, the same way they displayed one for other minority rights movements. We will no longer accept the double standard. If we continue to be unified in our demands, we will succeed in creating social, political, and legal consequences for Jew hatred. That is why it is so important to continue to take to the streets with peaceful and lawful protests so that Sarah Halimi's face is never forgotten, so that the world understands they can't get away with excusing a Jew killer and with excusing Jew hatred in all of its forms everywhere. Please visit justiceforsarahhalimi.com and make your voice heard.